At one point, Melissa says, "I have left my heart back on the shores of Lesvos, where people knew what it meant to be alive in every sense of the word." I finished the book with a strange feeling of sadness. Why do such things happen? Why should there be so much suffering affecting children, women, old people, and others? How and where and when will this end? Is it ever going to end? Will the governments that caused such suffering, forcing people to leave their homes, ever repent and change policies? Difficult to say. In the meantime, we rely on the Melissas of the world, of this world, to offer a little help to those in distress and remind us of the harsh realities of the problem of the thousands of people who flee in search of a safer and better life, an adventure which most often leads to hell. Thank you, Melissa, for writing this book. Thank you for awakening in us feelings that make us reflect on the true meaning of life.
The global debate on refugees must refocus on human dignity. And your book, Melissa, puts a human face to this discussion. Whether reaching the shores of Europe or elsewhere in the world, behind the numbers there are individuals. People like the ones the readers of your book will meet. Like Wesa, the refugee mother who lost her speech after witnessing the death of her family of 8 at sea. Like young Mohammed, who witnessed the murder of his father and brother back in his homeland and is anxious to reach Germany before the borders close. Or like Amir, the Syrian boy who is happy to own a new pair of trainers, even though they are too small for him. Refugees are fathers, mothers and children who have lost everything but home. Refugees have enormous challenges to face whenever they arrive in a new country, often alone, separated from their families, and with little more than the clothes on their back. Many also arrive traumatized by their experience of persecution and violence, carrying with them psychological and also physical scars that can haunt them for years. Despite the loss and suffering, refugees find strength, the courage, and the resilience. They can't give up hope. So if supported to integrate, they are capable of standing on their own feet and of contributing to their host society economically, socially, and culturally. Every one of us has a role to play in supporting refugees. Governments, us international organizations, civil society organizations, the media, universities, the private sector, each and every individual. As you rightly point out in your book, we all need it, and we all need each other in order to make a difference.
Amir's Blue Elephant is so much more than a book. I feel its words and testament reflect a space and time that denotes a very important period in my life, of course, but most importantly, perhaps, the lives of thousands of people on the move, along with the realms and the circumstances they face while seeking for a better life. It's through the realms of the humanitarian crisis that I met myself. I met hundreds of people who cultivated my passion for humanity, for righteousness, and for a way of life that meets eye to eye with my virtues and my visions. Many of the stories I collected, whether that be in Greece, in Cyprus, in Italy, or in Belgium, where I sought to understand the reality of camps and migrating communities, are somewhat outdated, for almost a decade has passed since my first encounters. Yet these stories are still very much valid today. It's pertinent that conditions, states of being, obstacles, systems, and daily lives are still very much in the same dire conditions. This was the ultimate drive to put my thoughts on paper in what has been born to be known as Amir's Blue Elephant. My hope is that it touches you as much as it did me, and that this touch remains a vibrant one that will lead each of us to reach out to those in need. It's unfortunate that Elizabeth Kassimis, the director of Kasteliotissa, Cyprus, couldn't be with us tonight, as was initially planned, for I was very much looking forward to delving deeper into the realms of migration through an open discussion that would have permitted further insights than the short excerpt I have chosen to read to you tonight. Yet, I'm very touched with the opportunity to share this with you, out loud, in this beautiful space, and amongst the strange times our world is currently facing. It's also ironic that we're here on the occasion of this book launch, just 2 days after the Moria refugee camp in Lesvos burnt to the ground. Coincidentally, I had chosen to read an excerpt from the book which takes place within the heart of the camp. And for a moment, I thought of choosing a different one, but then I opted not to. As I read it again, I embraced it, and once more, all the memories, the peoples, the colours, the atmospheres, and the journeys came back to life, even more so than ever. May this tragedy be an opportunity for change.